Dean Corll, the Candyman Killer. Welcome to The Most Evil, where we delve into the minds of history's most notorious serial killers. Today we delve into the horrific story of Dean Corll, also known as the Candyman. Along with his teenage accomplices, Corll brutally murdered at least 28 boys in the early 1970s, leaving a trail of terror in Houston, Texas. Dean Arnold Corll was born on December 24, 1939, in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He was raised in a turbulent household, with his parents frequently separating and reconciling before eventually divorcing. Corll moved to Houston with his mother, where they started a small candy company, giving him the nickname Candyman. In the early 1960s, Corll was drafted into the U.S. Army, serving for just under a year before being honorably discharged due to hardship reasons. Upon returning to Houston, he resumed working at the family candy business and began to develop relationships with local teenage boys, luring them with sweets and offering them jobs. Between 1970 and 1973, Dean Corll, with the assistance of teenage accomplices, committed a series of abductions, rapes, and murders of at least 28 boys. The victims, aged between 13 and 20, were often lured with promises of parties, rides, or work. Once in Corll's grasp, they were subjected to unimaginable torture before being killed and buried in various locations around Houston. The boys were often drugged, handcuffed, and gagged before being tortured with various instruments. Corll's sadistic nature knew no bounds as he devised increasingly brutal methods to inflict pain and suffering on his victims. Corll's modus operandi was both calculated and predatory. He used his charm and the guise of generosity to befriend his victims, often luring them with offers of candy, alcohol, and drugs. With the help of his accomplices, Corll would bring the boys to his home, where they were restrained and subjected to prolonged torture. Corll used a variety of instruments, including handcuffs, ropes, and a wooden torture board, to immobilize his victims. He derived pleasure from inflicting pain and would often photograph his gruesome acts. After torturing the boys, he would kill them by strangulation or shooting and then dispose of their bodies in rented storage sheds, a boat shed, and shallow graves. The investigation into the disappearances of numerous teenage boys in Houston was slow and fragmented. Many of the victims were runaways or from troubled backgrounds, leading authorities to believe they had left voluntarily. However, the sheer number of missing boys eventually raised alarm. The breakthrough came on August 8, 1973, when Elmer Wayne Henley, one of Corll's accomplices, fatally shot Corll during a confrontation. Henley, fearing for his own life, contacted the police and confessed to the murders, leading them to the burial sites. The police unearthed the remains of 28 boys, revealing the full extent of Corll's atrocities. Dean Corll was never captured in the traditional sense, as his reign of terror ended with his death act. On the night of his death, Corll had become enraged, accusing Henley of bringing a girl to the house. In a moment of desperation and fear for his own life, Henley shot Corll, killing him instantly. Henley then called the police and provided a full confession, leading to the discovery of the burial sites and the remains of Corll's victims. Dean Corll's psychological profile reveals a deeply disturbed individual with a sadistic personality disorder. His crimes were driven by a need for control and domination, manifesting in his extreme acts of torture and murder. Corll's ability to manipulate and enlist the help of teenage accomplices speaks to his charismatic yet malevolent nature. Dean Corll, the Candyman, left a legacy of unimaginable horror and grief. His brutal crimes and the tragic loss of so many young lives in Houston during the early 1970s are a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. Corll's ability to exploit and manipulate vulnerable teenagers highlights the importance of community vigilance and awareness in protecting the innocent.
If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content on true crime and psychological analysis. Remember to stay vigilant And until next time, stay safe.